This is the Relentless Podcast. My name is Christine. I'm a small business owner and student of success. I have become obsessed with talking with other entrepreneurs about their strategies, struggles, tactics, and routines. One of the key qualities that all of these individuals have in common, their ability to be relentless. Hey guys, welcome back to the Relentless Podcast. I just wrapped up an interview with Gabe Telarico. What a nice guy. He runs a landscaping company here in Seneca Falls, Waterloo area. And he and I get into managing a team, juggling family and business life, holding high standards. Both of us go on a couple tangents because we're both a little frazzled here in the holiday season, but I think we had a really great conversation. I harped on him a little bit too much, possibly, about social media. Y'all know how I feel about that. But I hope you guys enjoy this conversation, and we'll be back after the holidays. So Merry Christmas. Hey guys, I am taking a break from the craziness of retail during the holiday season to sit down with Gabe Telarico. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Did
Thanks
I
for having
pronounce
me.
your name correctly?
Yep. That was
Okay.
perfect.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, and who you are.
All right. So my name is Gabe Telarico. I grew up in Seneca County, the very northwest end, Junius,
Okay.
and went to Waterloo School District, graduated in '09. I've been in this county my entire life. I didn't go anywhere like I
Yeah.
thought I was going to. And a few years ago, I started a company called Dad and Son. And so we do a lot of lawn mowing and weed trimming and a little bit of snow removal. Stump grinding has been pretty good for us.
Okay.
So it's just been a lot of hard work for us these past few years, and it's definitely taken off.
Yeah. So dad and son. So is it you and your son or you and your dad? What's the...
It's me and my son.
Okay.
So he's 8 though, so he does a little work around here and there, helps me picking up sticks, and he loves it. He can't wait to get out there and help me more.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. I mean, to teach them young. I wish I had a little bit more of an upbringing around entrepreneurship and hard work. And, both of my parents had great jobs, but, 9 to 5s. And that was kind of, I assumed what everyone had to do. Like you graduate from high school, you go to a 4-year college, then you get a job, then you retire. Like that was what was laid out for me. So it's kind of cool that, you're showing him early on that you can kind of pave your own way.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing is I want him to have the opportunities that, I want him to see the opportunities that are out there and have access to them too.
Yeah.
Like when I grew up, the only options I had was uh, to work.
Yeah.
Like I came from a very poor family, and um, our success was dependent on me going out and working.
Yeah.
And so now when my 2 kids, I have a daughter too,
Mhm.
and when they get older, I want them to be able to choose that path. Which one do they
Yeah.
want to do? They want to go to college? Do they want to, go into the service or go to work, or do they want to have their own company, or what do they want to do?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of ways to be successful.
Yeah. It's interesting. I feel like a lot of people who grow up, without certain luxuries or poor or, without a lot of money or to see their parents struggle, I feel like that's a big motivator for people to, have this, I don't know if it's just a work ethic or just like an innate drive for more. And it's not necessarily because my mom, we weren't poor, but single parent households, paycheck to paycheck and, not a lot of savings and things like that. But I always watched my mom. I learned a couple things from her on this. Number one, she just worked very hard all the time and she worked her way up and I got to see like, okay, work in, you get this out. But the other thing that I noticed is she always she used to say soap is cheap. She used to resent the fact that, they thought that people who didn't have money were dirty or something like that or couldn't maintain a nice house, and she'd say, "I want to take pride in our house." So even though she painted the house herself, it always looked nice. We always had a nice garden. She did that all herself. And so it kind of taught me to, obviously the work ethic, but also, how to take pride in things by doing them yourself. So, I mean, did you experience any of that growing up?
Absolutely. So I have never seen anybody outwork my mom.
Yeah.
I have seen her work circles around grown men, and she's almost 70.
Wow.
So, like, growing up to see her aging, but still working so hard, it was just always amazing to me.
Yeah.
I've seen her get to the job sites before anybody else,
Yeah.
clean it up, set it up for everybody,
Wow.
go to work. Lunchtime comes, she's making sure that everybody eats. Then
Mhm.
she cleans up after everybody, and then she's back to work before anybody else.
Yeah.
And that work has just been watching her work. There's no reason why I can't work that hard.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason. I got my entrepreneurial spirit from my dad. He was always trying to find a way to, you know, make a way without having to follow the same rules as somebody else.
Yeah.
Other people's rules, as you know, they don't always work for everybody.
Right. Yep.
So, as long as you're doing the ethical thing, it's you make your way.
Yeah.
And I got that from my parents.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. And it's interesting too because a lot of people, I don't know if it's the social media culture or what it is, but a lot of people think, you know what, I want to work for myself because I want to be rich. I'm going to be rich. We're going to get rich. 90 days we'll be making $1 million. We'll be, and so I think it's interesting when people get into, starting a business and stuff, they realize, oh, wait a minute. This
Oh,
isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is a day by day showing up. A lot of times you're sacrificing. It's funny, quick story. In my business, we've had a lot of growth over the last few years. And 12 months ago, yeah, a little over 12 months ago, I decided I was like, I want to bring someone else full time, have a manager, really get things like the systems tight and everything, because I want to have a second location someday and really do this. And I was like, man, but full time, like I want to pay this person well. I don't want it to be like a minimum wage job. And I just said, okay, you know what? If I have to take a pay cut, I'm going to do that. I'm going to invest in this person, in the company. And so my income actually went down even though the business has exploded over the last year. I actually took a pay cut myself. And so it's like all these things of juggling finances that I think people don't necessarily understand until they're in the business. Would
it's
you agree?
it's funny. Well, it's literally happening to me right now.
Yeah.
Um, in the slow season right now, I'm doing all right, but coming into the busy season, I absolutely have to hire somebody.
Yeah.
And last year I had Colin with me. I mean, he did a lot of work for me.
Yeah.
But I have to be able to put somebody on full time, not just through the busy season, but I have to be able to support them through the slow season too.
Right.
And then there's health insurance on top of that.
Yes.
And it's not like, okay, so you pay somebody however much an hour. That's not your cost.
No.
And that's after you pay for all of your expenses,
Mhm.
for everything.
Mhm.
And I mean, yeah, it may look like you were saying earlier, it's not lots of money right out of the gate.
Right.
You are constantly reinvesting every penny that you take
Exactly.
back into your business because you want to have that growth.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be sustainable until you get to a certain point.
Right.
Once you get there, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Like it's just constantly growing.
Yeah. And it's so hard to, you know, build back momentum once you've lost it. And so I'm at this place too where I'm like, we can't slow down. We got to keep this in. We got, and I'm always like in this like frazzled energy because I mean, I've heard these stories of places that did grow too fast and it's like they couldn't keep up, customers get a bad experience or whatever. And so it's definitely a lot of pressure, but the key of it is, and both of us use the word, is reinvestment. So it's not, it's getting out of that mentality of, oh, I took a pay cut, so I'm losing money. And it's like, no, 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 I'm investing in my future.
Right.
I'm investing in the value of the company and seeing that grow. And on top of that, I'm investing in my employee, Jenna. She's an asset to the business. And seeing her career develop and her skills and seeing her do things beyond what she thought she was capable of, That's awesome. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like given me this new goal, because when I started it was like, okay, this is my business and this is where I want to be in 5 years. This is what I want to do. And now I'm kind of the vision has expanded a little bit into more of a company. And I mean, with you with landscaping and all of those things, it's like you can only do so much as one person.
Yeah.
You can have a list of 50 people that want you today, but you can only be at one place.
One
So
place at a time.
so you think you're going to be bringing someone on in the next season?
Well, I mean, the hope is to have somebody full time all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, I can definitely have part timers most of the time,
Yeah.
and that's what I did last year. Was I had a few
Yeah.
people, especially Colin. I mean, I can't speak highly enough about him.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the thing too is when you treat people right,
Yeah.
they take care of you and they take pride in their business.
Yes.
So I do everything I can to make sure that he's taken care of and anybody else that works with me.
Yeah.
And they really do a great job.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and take all the credit for the work that we've done because they did it.
Yeah.
They did it. And they're out there helping me look good and helping me become successful. And that bond that we've developed over the years trying to grow this together it's been great.
Yeah.
So why not try to do more for them? I see so many companies out there, not the little ones, the
Yeah.
bigger companies. They're just like, okay, this is minimum wage,
Mhm.
and that's what we're gonna do for you,
Yeah.
and we don't care like about anything else. You clock in when we tell you to clock in. These
Yeah.
are our policies that keep us free of liability, and
Mhm.
you have to obey them. If not, you can take a hike.
Yeah.
And it's just that's why I see no comfort in the workplace for so many people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's for me, it's very important, anyways.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I mean, and it's a burden on the employers too. I mean, unfortunately, we live in New York State, which you would think you hear all these politicians talk about, it's all about the small business. The small business are the backbones of this country. But then when you start looking at it, you're like, wait, my payroll taxes are what? So for me to pay someone, I've got to pay you this. That's like 40% of, I mean, it's insane when
Yes.
you look at the breakdown because it's like, I'd rather be paying that money to my employee and then they're going to tell us what the minimum, it's crazy. I
Yeah.
won't get into my politics. I'll get off my,
I was thinking about
but
that this morning. I was like, well, there's politics might come up. I hope we don't talk about it because it's all junk.
I
But
know. No, I won't put you on the spot. But no, it is, I mean, it's interesting how just broad strokes, I think everybody has an idea of how things should work and how things do work. And then once you're in it, your perspective on things can change. I mean, like I say, we always hear the tax the rich, you need to tax the rich. And you're looking at these things and then you're saying, but wait, why are small businesses carrying this burden and Amazon's not, say, you know what I mean? And it's
right.
like, and it doesn't make sense to me. But the biggest thing is I think it is true that small companies are the backbone of the country. They're the ones, and it's just important for us to, like you say, be ethical and do our part to take care of our people and they take care of us and it just works.
Yeah. Oh well, that's why I feel so strongly about shopping local.
Yeah.
Like there's so many local business here that do such a great job.
Mhm.
And I mean, most of my shopping, most of the stuff I do for my business is done through local companies. Like I just
Yeah.
got my decals done by ImageX, and I
Yep.
got my haircut yesterday from Pete Rogers, and I got
Nice.
some um and I actually went to some of the places that you had mentioned earlier on your podcast for some
Uh-huh.
Christmas shopping
Oh,
that
good.
I hadn't done before. Like I had no reason to go to these places. I didn't even know they
Yeah.
existed.
Yep.
But then I hear stories that you put on about um different entrepreneurs who start their small businesses and they've got a
Mhm.
storefront and they're trying so hard to make something, make an impact.
Yeah.
And it's not just one person, it's one person and their whole family behind them.
Yep.
And their success, their whole family's success depends on bringing in more business.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I really admire what you do here with this because
Thank you.
this podcast, I think it definitely helps a lot of people in the area really understand how important small businesses are
Yeah.
to the area. I mean, there's so many families that have a
Yeah.
small business.
Yeah.
So,
It's true. And I mean, especially I can really only speak from retail because that's the business that I'm in, but if you're selling online or even just a brick and mortar, I mean, you're competing with Amazon, you're competing with Walmart, you're competing with these, global corporations. And a lot of times it's like a habit that people have because I mean, my favorite review that we get actually pretty often is, "Oh my god, you guys were faster than
Mm.
Amazon." Cuz I mean, we're on it. We know that we're up against, prime delivery is 2 days or less, so we got to be on that. We've adjusted certain shipping costs on orders, and if someone spends over $50, we do free shipping. We do these little things to try to give us a little bit of a competitive edge against these big companies. And what's interesting is a lot of times we'll see our own like products that we carry are on Amazon and they're actually more expensive than what we carry in the store.
Really?
And but again, it's like if we it's like the meme. So say we sell a product for $10 and the shipping is 5, brings it to $15 and people are like, "I'm not paying $5 for shipping." It's on Amazon for $15 with free shipping and people are like, "Boom, there we." And so it's just this weird thing and it's just the way it is. And it's like I use Amazon myself. I feel like I'm talking crap about them today. I'm sorry, Amazon. I love you too. But it's just a reality of the world that we live in, which is, it's based on convenience, one click away. And so, people like us and other retail stores, we're just trying to compete with that, but also what makes us different than that? It's the personal touch. It's the personal customer service. If somebody calls us, they're going to be talking to me or Jenna or my mom. And, they're not going to just be got forwarded to some call center and just be some random nobody. People come in and say, "My wife saw something on your Facebook last night." And I'm like, "Yep, let me pull it up."
Yep,
And
yep.
so there are all these just personal touches that we can give customers and make their experience better. And I'm sure in your line of work too, you have a lot of interactions with customers. So what are some things that you do to kind of reach them?
So I guess there's a lot of things because everybody's house is different.
Yeah.
Everybody's story is different. Everybody's situation is different. So you go in and you figure out like you first you talk to your customer and
Mhm.
you get to know who they are and what their needs are.
Yeah.
And the standard is you just want to cut their lawn,
Yeah.
or most people they just want their lawn cut. But then there's other questions like how nice do they want it to look? Because
Mhm.
I can spend a day at somebody's house every week
Yeah.
and make it look immaculate.
Yeah.
It's going to be really expensive.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out what people want to have done versus, what they want to spend.
Yeah.
And, if they tell me, like, I just try to work with them to get them the best service or product for the money that they're going to spend.
Yeah.
But it's hard because I also have to balance my costs.
Right. Oh,
If
yeah.
if I'm there for like a half an hour, I
Mhm.
mean, that's not a long time, but I have so much into that half hour
Yeah.
that that isn't accounted for, I don't think.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when I go and talk to somebody or I do billing at the end of the month and I'll send in my email or I'll call them, hey, how was everything? Is there anything else you need done?
Yeah.
Just trying to make sure that nobody gets um, they're missing something that they're looking for. Like, hey,
Right.
this spot wasn't done right, or could you pay a little bit more attention to over here, or
Yeah.
do you do fall cleanup, or things like that.
Yeah.
And other times, like I'll try to bring up things that they might need. Hey, is that something you want me to,
Yeah.
give you a quote on or something? And they'll say, you know what, yeah, that might be a good idea. That might be something that they didn't know that I do.
Right. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just talking to them not only builds that personal relationship with them,
Mhm.
like you get to know who they are, they get to know who I am, and my whole family is pretty seated in this community. So like
Yeah.
we all like we find ways to connect with each other.
Yeah.
And now they feel like they know me, and it also opens up more room for business to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it seems like you're comfortable with, discussing pricing and kind of having a little bit of sales in your job as well? Because I know that that's something in talking with other entrepreneurs, that's something that some people struggle with. So where do you fall on that?
Pricing is getting easier.
Mhm.
Talking to people and selling them products and this and that, it's easier for me to do that than it is to do the pricing part.
Mm-hmm.
Because the pricing part, when I first started, that was like, I thought about like, oh, I'm going to charge them how much to do their lawn? And then I'm like, at the same price a year later, I'm like, I can't believe that's all I charged them.
Uh-huh.
Because, like my very first customers, they were the people that, helped me get my name out there. They
Yep.
let me put my sign in their lawn. And
Yep.
I'm like, cool, this is great. And I'm out there mowing and my own equipment that I bought, my own trucks that I bought, my own
Yeah.
the trailer, fuel, everything.
Yep.
And went home and I did all my balance sheets and all that. And
Yep.
I figured out I was making less than minimum wage.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, I can't own a business
Yeah.
so that I can make minimum wage
Right.
because that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's also asset building and things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
pricing has definitely it's been a difficult thing for me to handle.
Yeah.
But there again, I see so many lawn care companies, over the past 10 years, how many people have come and gone.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of it. And it's
Yeah.
over the past few years too, I think prices for everything has changed.
Oh my gosh, drastically. Yeah.
So, I mean, you still have to keep up with it. And sometimes I hit somebody with a price and they're like, whoa, and then, for a stump job, case in point, I gave this guy a quote for a stump job and I called him back to follow up on it. And he said, I got to be honest with you. I about fell out of my chair when you told me how much it was going to be. And I didn't waver on my price. It was one of the
Yeah.
first times I actually held my ground because there was
Uh-huh.
a lot of work involved in this.
Right.
And he said, you know what? I'm going to call around and check some things out and check out some other options and I'll call you back.
Yeah.
So I called him a week later and he was still doing his research or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I probably lost this quote. Well, a month and a half later, he called me and he's like, hey, do you still want to do that stump?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, sure. Like, yeah, I'll come out and do it. And it was one of the hardest stumps I ever did.
Yeah.
I was so glad that I stayed on my price.
Held to that price.
Ooh, that one was tough.
Yeah.
But we did it and he was very happy with the end product.
Good.
And we got out there with another stump under our belt, which was great. And it's just like those little things that you stand by because you learned from
Yeah.
experience. Like, there's no way I'm going to do this for less because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because I feel like that there is an evolution to it a little bit. Because like even with my husband, when he first started his photography, he was charging a lot less than other people in the industry. But he's like, I'm just starting. I just want to get the work, to get the experience, to get my name out there. And with me too, I was like, well, it's a Seneca Falls boutique. It's, and I was like keeping myself from actually purchasing certain quality items because I was afraid people around here would be like, who does she think she is charging $60 for a sweater? And so I like wouldn't get these things that I thought were really nice and that I would personally pay for because I was almost like underestimating what people here would want or what they would think of me for asking for a certain price. And then as you get going, like you say, it's important to say, you know what? Number one, we give great service. We have great quality products. And this is a fair price. I think if you're in the range of saying, this is fair for me to cover the costs and I know you're getting a great item or a great service, it feels okay to say this is what it costs. And I feel like it just takes experience and doing that a few times. And it sounds like that guy, did what probably most people do. They get a couple of different quotes and stuff, but and then sometimes you just get people who are going to nickel and dime you just to get your bottom line price. So there's a little bit of negotiating. And I mean, I had this one guy come in and it's funny because it's always people who I know are doing okay that ask these things, but he goes, so Christina, I see you got that dress in the window there. My wife would really love that. What's the friends and family? Or he goes, what's the price on that? And I'm like, it's $60. He goes, oh, what's the friends and family price for a good friend like me? I was like, $60 with a big smile on my face. He goes, boy, you're tough. And I'm thinking like, no, that's just what the price is.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, in the past, I would have been like, oh God, maybe I should have given him a discount. And it's like, you know what? No, if he has the balls to ask me for a discount in a store, I should have the balls to be like, no, that's the price.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
it costs.
if you're going to your friends and family, you should pay them full price or more because you're trying to help them
To
succeed.
support them. Yeah.
So there's the other side of that. I mean,
Yep.
whatever you do is whoever. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to hate on anybody, but
No, I get it. And I mean, I pride myself, our store and myself personally, we're very charitable. We do a lot with the community. I mean, we've had months where we've had 25 donation requests for different banquets or so and so's little league team and I mean, we're hit up all the time, and most of the time it's a yes. I've had very few times where I'm like, okay, we've donated over $1,000 this month. Like we have to, I'm sorry, but we can't do the,
yeah,
the church bazaar or whatever it is. But we're very charitable, and we're able to do those things because we charge fair prices for our products that
right,
sell in our business,
right,
and I think it was Marilla on her podcast TYFU who said, I didn't go into business to go out of business,
right.
and it's a reality. And like you say, it's to support, it's our livelihood, it's to support our families,
Yeah,
and it's our the way that we earn a living. And I think it's just once you're in it and you start feeling more comfortable, it's a lot easier to do.
for sure. And the friends and family thing. I mean, like, I have done a lot of work for people that are friends or family or whatever, and
Mhm.
that I still feel like it's tough because I want to give them a better deal. Well, this is what I'm doing, but for you, I could do it for this much because
Mhm.
we go way back.
Yeah.
And then it's the opportunity cost too now because I'm stuck into this job that
Mhm.
I don't have that time to go do another job where I
Right.
can possibly make some more money.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a battle. I think it takes quite a bit of finesse and um oh, what's the word? Oh man, I can't think of the word.
That's okay. Happens to me all the time. Josh will just cut it.
Nice. My guy.
Yep.
So I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. We're going to start on a new one.
Sweet.
So anyway, yeah, pricing, I've heard so many people go back and forth and kind of break it down, but it sounds like you're in a good place with that. But so kind of back to just you running your business, and where does your motivation come from? Is it, from your upbringing and wanting to, provide for your kids, or where does your motivation come from?
I think somewhere inside me there's this undying need to produce
Yeah.
and I can't shut it off.
Yeah.
So if I'm not busy or if I have a project going on or something, I'm always thinking about what can I do? What is the next thing? What's the next step?
Yeah.
And part of it comes from that fear of being broke.
Yeah.
Like I never want to be that poor again.
Mhm.
And not that I was like atrociously poor. I mean, there were people out there that had it worse than me.
Yeah.
So I am like so grateful for, where I've been and where I'm going and where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that there's, especially when I work for other people too, trying to make things better
Yeah.
in the way that I saw would make things better doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
But in my own company, I have the control over how I can make that happen, how I can affect a positive change.
Yeah.
And as long as I have that vision, I mean, we're gonna get there. There's
Yeah.
no in your earlier podcast, you're talking about like there's no way you can't.
Yeah.
Like this is something that has to happen,
Yeah.
and there's no like if it doesn't happen or whatever. There's like there's only that it will happen.
Yeah.
You just have to figure out how to get there.
Yeah. There's only plan A, no plan B.
How you get there, like maybe there's a few different ways to get there.
Yep.
So if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Yes.
But
Yeah. And I mean, it's not always linear. I mean, everyone that I've had on here has said, they either had a failure or a setback or something in their personal life kept put things on hold. I mean, life happens, but I'm the same way. I definitely I don't want to struggle financially. That's a big motivator. And I don't know what it is with me either, why I'm just a relentless person when it comes to business. I mean, I told you off camera when you came in here, I'm like, I'm kind of on the verge of a nervous breakdown. I mean, I'm in my busiest season we've ever had. Christmas is crazy anyway, and I think unless you're in retail, I don't think you can understand just the volume and the pace. And we had It's a Wonderful Life weekend last weekend. My poor mom overdid it. And so she's been going, like, we're just all frazzled. And, Monday came and it was going to be our day off. And I'm like, all right, I haven't taken a day off. I'm going to chill. I'm going to do some stuff around my house. Well, I look and all of our pre-ordered sweatshirts were at the store. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm working today. And then I'm just like, oh my God, Christine, you need to stop. Like, there's always going to be something that you can go in and do at work, but like, you have to stop or you're going to
Yeah.
burn yourself out. And here I am a few days later. Guess what I did? I went in. So I'm burning myself out.
I don't understand how retail business, like especially retail businesses like yours, do what you do because you have so much inventory you have to track.
Mhm.
Like, I don't even know what details to include into this.
Yeah.
I just know it's so much that it boggles my mind.
Yeah,
So
well, and I think it's just one of those things because we're always preparing for the upcoming seasons and, dealing with the season at hand. And at Christmas, the volume is just so great. I mean, when I leave here, we have 145 orders that I want to get out today.
wow.
And it's like, I couldn't sleep last night because same thing. It's like, oh my God. And again, and then I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, 3 years ago, I would have killed to have this problem, And so I put in my journal again this morning. I'm like, be in the moment and enjoy this.
Careful what you
Don't
wish
be a
for.
crazy person today. But, it's one of those things. I think we all have those moments where, business life and personal life are all, in full swing at the same time. And it's hard. And you have to kind of reground yourself and just say, okay, what's the first thing I have to do? Prioritize and just tackle things one thing at a time. Cause I had this bad habit for a long time where when I would get to this point, I would just completely shut down. I'd be
Oof.
like, I need a day off. I would be in bed. I wouldn't be on my phone. I would just like binge watch Netflix and sleep. And then the next day I'd be like, okay, I can go back. So I'm trying not to get to that point to where I'm just so overloaded that like I can't function. So that's the goal for. Do you ever have trouble like balancing it all? I mean, you said you have kids and with work, how do you do it?
So I have no idea.
You just do
Summertime,
it.
spring, early spring, all the way through. Man, I was busy up until maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Just every day,
Mhm.
all day long,
Yeah.
and I didn't have time to do anything.
Yeah.
And my kids they're in sports or they're in Boy Scouts or dance, and my wife likes to do. She's in the Merry Christmas George Bailey thing.
Uh-huh.
It's last weekend and this weekend. So once in a while she gets involved with that.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's just so much to juggle and balance. Good thing for grandparents and in-laws.
Yep.
They definitely help out a lot. But and the couple hours that they can buy me,
Yeah.
it means so much because the difference from having a 4-hour window to do something versus a 6-hour window to do something. Like I
Yeah.
can't get into a project with 4 hours
Mhm.
because then I got to pack up, get to the place.
Yeah.
I have like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Then I go home, unpack, and it's just what can you do?
Yeah.
So it's days like that, and especially on days like this summer when it was so rainy,
Yeah, that's
it
right.
was again relentless.
Yep. You
It
figure
was
it out.
yeah. So I mean, there were days where we're just like, and the smog when Canada was on
Oh
fire.
God, that's right. I forgot about that.
So we ended up buying those N95 full face masks,
Yeah.
like the respirator kind with the
Oh my
clip-in
God.
cartridges, and we went out and we worked because we couldn't just not.
Mowing in your hazmat suits.
Oh my goodness. And it was so hot. And
Yeah.
we were out there we had to get the job done because if we didn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like it's a big thing. Like, oh, okay, well, the grass can wait. But if this grass waits today,
Yeah.
I've got 25 other people whose grass is also going to wait.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be so tall in a week and a half if the smog ever lets up or the
Yeah.
rain ever lets up, we're going to be buried and our lawns are going to look terrible.
Yeah.
So, and we're trying to deliver a good product,
I
good
know.
service at the same time. And it's like, you can't do that if you let it get too long.
I know. Well, let me ask you this, because it sounds like you suffer from the same. Do you ever feel, I had to ask myself this week if the standards that I set for the business and myself are actually to my detriment. And I'll tell you, so sometimes I feel like, am I being unreasonable? Am I holding too high a standard? Am I expecting too much of my staff? Or like, do you ever feel like, I don't want to use the word perfectionist because I'm certainly not a perfectionist, but I just want things done a certain way. And sometimes I wonder if that's why I am so stressed. And it's like, if I just let this go a little bit, but then I'm afraid I don't think I'd be able to sleep at night. I mean, how do you feel about holding that standard?
I'm there with you. I am right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, so when for lawns, anyways, it's mow and trim.
Yeah.
Mow everything. Keep it clean. Don't put it in the road or the driveways or the sidewalks, and definitely not in the flower beds.
Yeah.
And stuff happens. Sometimes people have flower beds that are so close together with a little strip of grass. Like, where are you gonna put it? But at the same time, like trimming, like I always say, mow and trim every time. People always want to trim every once a month or every other time, just to say like, if you don't do it every time, it's gonna be cheaper. And I think no, it's not gonna be cheaper.
Yeah.
We have to do it because if we do miss a spot, we can come back and get it.
Right.
So for me, it's tough because I know when I go out and do something, like I have this mapped out plan of how I'm going to do somebody's property from start to finish, and like down to the route that I take with the weed trimmer, and it helps ensure that I hit everything, and then I look back and it looks good. But I mean, yeah, once in a while I miss something.
Yep.
And my guys, once in a while, they miss something too, and then I see it and I'm like, oh, you guys got to do a better job.
Yep.
And then they say, that they're trying and they're doing their best. And I think, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm just going to say this is what it's got to be. And if it gets done, great. If it doesn't get done, we're definitely going to catch it next week.
Yeah.
Because it'll be me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, my guys say the same thing about me too. But
yeah.
We definitely, it's a touchy subject.
It's definitely difficult. And, that's one of the struggles that I've had as a leader, as a boss. I don't love the word boss, but as a leader of my team is I walking the line of being effective, holding that standard, but not being so critical that they lose their confidence.
Yes.
And and especially, I mean, I thought that my generation was sensitive. Since I've worked with some younger people, I realized that any type of feedback people can shut down if it's not delivered the right way. So you have to be a little bit more sensitive and constructive and in the delivery. And so there were times too when we were so busy that rather than address something that was either done wrong or not held to that standard, I would just fix it and do it myself and not say anything. And then I realized
it's a trap.
That's not really effective in the long run. It fixed things real quick and things got back on track, but it was also setting them up to fail to repeat that mistake. Right. And so, and I have times where I'll be like, okay, boss hat's going on and I got to talk to you about this. And a lot of times too, it's like, hey, is everything okay? This isn't your usual work, or this isn't your usual, I just want to remind you, I'm going to show you how I'm fixing it, but I want you to watch me do it because I know you know this, but this will be a refresher. You know what I mean? And doing that stuff, it didn't come naturally to me as like a people pleaser. But I had to kind of tell myself, like, number one, it will help get the job done the way that makes me happy. And it'll make them happy because they're learning and growing and improving. So it's interesting kind of dealing with those, making sure the standards met while also helping to cultivate your team.
Yeah. Well, on one side, it feels like you might be, well, if you're receiving that from the owner, it can feel like, oh my goodness, I messed up. And it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do? And then they're taking the time to work with you. I always try to see it from the other person's perspective. I always try to put
Right.
myself in their shoes.
Yeah.
And that's what I see like helps me do it. But sometimes I forget and I'm just like, ah.
I know.
But if you're taking the time and you're showing them that you care about what they're doing without, you know, degrading them or belittling them, I mean that goes a long way.
Yeah.
And when they appreciate it like that, it definitely helps them in the future because now they're caring enough not only to listen to what you're trying to say, because nothing is worse than telling somebody how to do something just for them to not listen to you
Right.
and just, go off and do whatever they want to because they didn't care to listen.
Yeah.
But I mean, they really, as long as you're taking that time to break it down and not attack them about it,
Right.
but
Yeah.
coach them.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. It's, I'm learning as I go. I mean, you listen to the show, I didn't get training for this. I didn't go to school for this. So and I feel like even people who go to school, they're still learning on the job. If they're starting their own thing, you got to figure out how to do all these different aspects of business that I never thought about. I'm doing the accounting, I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the HR, like it's all of it,
Mhm.
So you
Every
just
hat.
work your way through it. But so over the next few years, what are some of your goals for the company?
Hmm. Well, I definitely want to have a few full time through the year.
Mhm.
Um, I want to expand the grass just a little bit more.
Mhm.
I know you were talking about growing too fast. I definitely don't want to grow too fast.
Yeah.
I've been actually some of the things I've actually held back on growing because there's always another piece of equipment I can buy,
Right.
another thing I should go out and get, or another thing I should go out and do. But if I stretch myself too far,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to step into those shoes that I'm putting in front of myself.
Yeah. You wanna hold the same quality of service.
Yeah, so I think in the next few years, getting grass a little bit busier. I think that's how you get your name out because your truck's everywhere when you're sign on
Yeah.
it. But I don't want to get too busy with grass because
Yeah.
there are other things too that you can do to make your time more effective.
Sure.
I think there's a ton of people out there doing landscaping and they are killing it. They're doing a great job.
Mhm.
And so the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to start going into those niche projects that other people are already into, like the
Okay.
hardscapes. I'll probably never do hardscapes
Okay.
because there's so many other people that are out there that are doing a great job.
Right.
And I think more power to them. Like
Yeah.
they are delivering some great top notch hardscapes.
Yeah.
And in fact, there's a couple of landscapers out there that actually they give me some lawns and I give them the hardscapes.
Oh, nice.
And so
Yeah.
it works. And if there's something like kind of in the middle, maybe we'll collaborate on a job. I
Sure.
actually have reached out to another guy to try to collaborate on a job, and we went out and quoted it together. And we'll see if he gets back to us. But
Yeah.
it's cool because we all have our thing that we do.
Yeah.
And so I definitely like the stump grinding to get busier.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of stumps are tough.
Yeah, I know nothing about this.
It's
But I believe you.
you never know what you're running into, especially because it's buried underground. Like,
Yeah.
is it gonna widen out and get huge? What another stump I did, it was almost 40 inches across at the top, like 4 inches above grade.
Oh, wow.
But once you got underground, I was an inch and a half below grade, and it was probably I'm 6 feet tall almost, and it was bigger than me. I was like a foot on each side of me.
Oh my
I laid
god.
down on top of the stump, and I was only an inch and a half below grade.
Wow.
So, I mean, and not all stumps are like that. They're all
Yeah.
different. Depends on, you know.
Now is the stump grinding unique? That's not something that I'm assuming you need special equipment and stuff that maybe not everybody in landscaping does?
Yeah, you do need some special equipment. The stump grinders are not cheap. I mean, you can start out with a small one or you can get a big one. I mean, you can get a stump grinder from anywhere to from a couple $1,000s to $100,000.
Okay.
And it's just not for everyone.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of weird things that can happen too.
Yeah.
So, that's some part of the business that I'd really like to get bigger.
Well, and what kind of do you have any strategies in mind that you're going to be using to grow? I mean, do you go based on word of mouth? Are you going to start making some fun TikToks? Like, what's the plan?
So that's funny that you say TikTok. Um, I've I'm not good at making videos.
Nobody is when they start. Have you seen mine?
No, I think you guys make great videos.
Well, thank you.
You guys,
We do now, but we're 2 years in, so.
Well, there you go. You do it enough, you get better. But for me, it's like, well, from one, I forget to take pictures.
Uh-huh.
I forget to take videos.
Yeah.
And then I think back and I'm like, I should have taken a video of this or picture of this. And,
Yeah.
so, I mean, I do some ads on Facebook. I don't pay for them. I try to join groups, and
Yeah.
nobody likes the over, like you post on the same group over and over and over again. Like I try to post no more than once or twice a month
Okay.
on a community group.
Yeah.
And just because I know there's so many people out there trying to get their name out too. So why am I gonna like take up all the space?
Yeah.
And stump grinding is something that I can go further with that than just lawn mowing.
Yeah.
So I've gotten some software too that I think is going to help me out with managing my time better,
Okay.
so that I can spend more time trying to figure out better ways to reach people.
Okay.
I thought about radio ads. I'm not sure if I'm going to go that way yet.
Yeah.
I think it's a little early to cross that threshold.
Yeah.
But my eyes are on it.
Yeah, and I mean, it probably does depend on the market with radio ads. We did some radio ads years ago, and we did see some from it, but I can tell you from personal experience that nothing reaches more people than social media. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions for people, especially in different trades, is they're like, nobody wants to see pictures. Yes, they do. Especially, I mean, TikTok has like proven that. I mean, I see people on I follow this one guy who's a private detective, and he tells us about like, oh, I'm out on this case and blah blah blah. I watch different people. It's not stump grinding, but I've watched like stamped concrete going down. I mean, things that I never thought really were like in my wheelhouse. It's fascinating to watch people do it. And I mean, so it's just a cool, inexpensive way to get your name out there. And I think the hardest thing for people is they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah, but that first video, it's like, just make something. Just do something. Just show your face. That's one of the biggest things that I actually had to remind myself of again last week, because I've been outsourcing some of my content to Sydney and Jordan during the holidays. They've been awesome. But I had a couple of customers who are like, we miss seeing you. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, that's right. And people do, they want to see your face. But I mean, sometimes it's just, getting on there and saying, hey, it's Gabe. I'm working on this thing today, and do a time lapse of you doing this stuff. I could go on forever, so I won't bore the listeners. But anytime you need some input on social media, I'm always happy to help, because I think for any business owner, it's the most cost effective, and you'll see the biggest return on your investment. And you just have to be okay with just being terrible when you start. Because most of us are.
Yep. I've been, I think the biggest things that kind of pushed me forward was first when I got my logo, that pushed me.
Yep.
Then when I got some lawn signs, that helped me.
Yep.
A couple weeks ago, I got the decals on the truck. So I think that's going to help.
Yeah.
And I've been I do take some pictures. They've been going up on Facebook, and
very
good,
good,
kind of sharing them. And
I'm everybody's like hype person about the social media, so it's not just you, I promise.
So like, I mean, I'm getting there, and I'm trying to have that plan. Social media obviously has always been not my strong suit, but I've been trying real hard.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, like I feel like the local media is better.
Yeah.
Like the Facebook, like local area, but I can see how, and especially in retail, like because you can do shipping. Like if you get it out there on TikTok and it's out there like
Yeah.
You can be in Canada or Texas or, wherever.
Yeah.
And you'll be reaching people and they'll be placing orders. So you're shipping.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't ship myself across the country and
It
go
doesn't matter though, because number one, too, with TikTok and Instagram, you can tag your location. So they're going to show it to people in your kind of general area on top of more.
Oh,
But also just the more views you have and traffic you have on your page, it just helps to build your credibility, your reputation. And so I do see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's a lot easier if someone in California sees it, they can actually get my services. Whereas, with you, maybe not. Maybe in the future they can, but not now. But I think it's good. I always think to myself when I see, restaurants or something that aren't doing social media, I'm just like, it's such a missed opportunity. I feel like there could be like, I want to see, what are they doing in the kitchen? What are they, it's like that kind of peek behind the curtain that social media gives people. It just familiarizes them with you, your expertise. I mean, there are some companies that, say they have like a painting business and they're thinking like, oh, nobody wants to see that, but they'll have like 3 million followers. And it's like, what is this about? And, they just find unique ways to reach and engage people. And it's not always about the sale.
yeah.
It's more just about building that community, building that trust, and good stuff comes. But I digress. I'm done.
I guess I'm gonna buy a tripod. I've got a job today that I'm gonna do and take some pictures. And so
I know I'm bullying you into being a social media person.
Well, it's a good. It's not toxic for sure. You need to do this.
I know.
No, I think it's a good idea, and I agree 100%. And I should do it. So I think I'm gonna.
All right. Well, we'll check back with you in a few months and see how that's going. But, well, this was awesome. I appreciate you so much for being here. Is there anything that you want to leave us with today?
No, I no. For one, I appreciate you inviting me and having me on. I think it was such a tremendous thing.
Yeah.
Again, like I've told you before, I think this is wonderful that you do this. You're already so busy, and something like this doesn't just help you. It helps. You found a way to help everybody.
Oh, well, thank you.
And it's such a wonderful thing. And aside from that, no, I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful for everybody in the community and grateful for you guys. And
well, thank you. And I appreciate you. And I think, I know my mom had some work done by you and she just raved and raved, not just about the work, but also what a wonderful man you are. And just how kind you were to her. And you followed back and checked up on the work and, wanted to make sure she was happy. And, little things like that go a long way. And so I'm sure that you'll be very successful. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching and listening. Be sure to follow us on all the socials: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.